You might have seen this on Facebook already, but Mark Zuckerberg, who... What?
No, keep reading.
Oh, right, I see, yeah. Gotcha, right. Who's dead today, aged 32, has said reports of made-up stories on Facebook are crazy.
Delivered beautifully.
Yes, yeah, beautiful. I just hadn't read the intro. Anyway, unfortunately, one thing I said is true.
Now we're getting to the point of it. The popularity of so-called fake news articles shared on social media sites skyrocketed during the US election. Incredibly, almost half of posts shared from 3 popular right-wing political pages contained false or misleading information. And according to the outgoing president, Barack Obama, it is threatening our democracy.
If we are not serious about facts and what's true and what's not, if we can't discriminate between serious arguments and propaganda, then we have problems.
Now, more Americans use Facebook than voted in the recent general election. So does Facebook have a responsibility or indeed a major credibility issue when it comes to its news feeds? Joining us to discuss a master of spin, Jane Caro and Dan Gregory from the Impossible Institute. Good morning to you both.
Now,
Facebook, in a sense, accidentally became a major news service and therefore had no philosophies or no processes around how news is disseminated. Fake news, you would have to agree, undermines democracy. If you haven't got a well-informed electorate, how do they know what they're voting for?
That's exactly right. And Facebook and social media in general is an anarchic space. It has no boundaries, it has no controls, and worse than that almost, it feeds you what confirms what you already think.
Because of its algorithms.
That's right. So I didn't get... You'd be surprised to hear this. I didn't get a lot of the right-wing fake news, so I was astonished when people are saying Hillary Clinton has a colostomy bag or it doesn't. I'm going, no, well, that's nonsense. Everyone knows that's nonsense.
Yes.
That's because I'm not getting that fake news because Facebook knows I won't like it. I won't agree with it.
Yeah, but again, I mean, this isn't news in itself. I mean, Thomas Jefferson said that a man who reads nothing but newspapers is more misinformed than a man who reads nothing at all. So this concept that news can be construed and that we can, you know, use facts to tell lies and use lies to tell lies, this isn't news. So it comes to what do we focus on, but also what do we omit from our news cycle as well.
But yes, the point about this in particular seems to be that if you pick up a newspaper or you're looking at mainstream media, you know who is behind that. Right?
Yes.
And we have... we build up a trust there, and we have some idea of the credibility,
or otherwise,
putting it together, or otherwise.
And
exactly.
you can check the facts.
You can check the facts. Social media. The point here is, I think, that people saying we don't know who is writing it.
It all looks of equal weight.
Exactly.
It looks the same. I've been guilty of seeing something and think that's interesting and sharing it and finding out later people come back to me and say that's rubbish. It's from a fake news site, and I feel really embarrassed that I've been caught up in something like that. So it's, you know, I'm not saying I'm particularly skilled, but all of us can find ourselves unwittingly sharing nonsense.
There does seem to be a widespread view current at the moment that traditional news sources are just spinning us lies for commercial reasons. Look, there may be, you know, elements of truth to that, but then to look to Facebook, which is something completely unvetted for what is supposed to be the truth, seems to be crazy.
But people aren't looking for the truth, and this is the more interesting thing, is people are looking for validation of their own point of view. So the internet is driving filter bubbles. In other words, I live in a bubble that feeds my own opinion back to me based on the fact that the internet learns what I believe. But more than that, we also suffer from confirmation bias. In other words, I give more credibility to something that supports what I already believe than something that challenges what I believe. And what happens is that becomes amplified through social media. So people aren't actually looking for the truth, they're looking for evidence that proves them right. And that's the real issue, is we're not looking at news in a critical way, because we're not even thinking in a critical way. We're actually looking for support rather than challenge.
And I think that's why everything's getting so polarised and everything's getting so bitter and nasty in a way that I think is much louder and more terrifying in a way than it ever has been before. The one thing I would say that I think is hopeful for Australia is I actually think compulsory voting may mitigate against the consequences of this, because it tends to smooth out the extremes in a way that obviously voluntary voting does. I still don't blame Facebook for the result in the American election. I don't think it helped, but I think that the people who stayed home and didn't vote, same in Brexit, are the ones that need to take a great deal of responsibility for what happened in
I
those
disagree,
votes.
Jane. I actually think their vote was, this system doesn't work and we're not playing anymore.
But they've always...
No, but I think that's a valid vote. I mean, if you have a look at the results, no one won that election. The majority of people said we don't want either. That choice wasn't validated.
We're getting into territory now that we don't have time for, but perhaps I
Yeah. Obviously, there's a great article on
conversation.
Facebook
Indeed.
about why Trump won. I'll just check it out.
Yeah.
thanks.
Believe everything you read.
It was Hillary's colostomy bag.
Yeah, that's
Thank
right.
you both so much, Dan and
you.
Jane.